In an age of short attention spans, where literacy is on the decline and social media posts reign supreme, the book of Proverbs provides the antidote to the distracted mind, incapable of holding a thought for any appreciable amount of time. This indictment is unfortunate, but necessary. Mentally, we're becoming the proverbial frog in the boiling pot, unaware of the impact that the inputs to our brains are having or will have on the outputs. Perhaps there's never been a better time to revisit Proverbs for its pithy wisdom, concise instruction for all areas of life, and foundational knowledge rooted in the fear of the Lord.
Proverbs, primarily attributed to King Solomon, whether he wrote it or assembled them, contains one of the most ancient forms of instruction, as Charles Bridges summarize. He goes on to say that it was well adapted to the rudeness and simplicity of the first ages, when books were few and philosophy little understood. The mind, unpracticed to the slow processes of reasoning, would be much more easily arrested by terse sentences expressing a striking sentiment in the fewest words.
Welcome to the Family Pulpit Podcast. This is technically Season 2.
Yes,
Episode
Season
1.
2, Episode 1. I'm super pumped. We're going to be trying to post shorts daily. I'm not going to commit us to anything, but I'm really going to try. This week, recovering from a sickness, stomach bug.
You were out,
and
down and out for a little bit.
Did not have any sicknesses for 6 years, and then they just hit me twice within a 3 week window.
Down and out, man.
Yeah, even at the movie theater, I got hit during Brand New Day.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's terrible. Okay, in case you didn't guess, we are going to be going through the book of Proverbs. So going through scripture is a little bit more my wheelhouse than the daily topics. However, we laid the foundation for the angle that we're going to take to Proverbs by going through the 17 episodes that we did, establishing the family economy.
Yep.
Because what led me to this was I was listening to a podcast by the name of, the guy's name is Kevin Swanson. And he's one of the leaders throughout the country in not only homeschooling movement, but also family economy, household economy. He was on a podcast with Rory Groves, who I've mentioned several times in Season 1.
Our family economy, he has a book that we
durable trades as well.
Write down our attributes, durable trades.
Our skills.
I read through that one.
Well, anyways, Kevin Swanson said they were kind of talking about from the family economy angle. So basically like the household economy, the oikonomos, how they would prepare for any coming economic collapse or calamity. And Kevin Swanson said what he would do is, rather than seeking worldly wisdom, he would go to the book of Proverbs. And so I guess he wrote maybe a study guide on this or something like that. But anyway, it got me thinking, and I was like, you know what? What if you did go to the book of Proverbs? You kind of went through it from an angle of the family economy. And if you don't know what that is, you'll have to go back and listen to episode 17. And then, kind of as you went through there, you were taking the application away of how this impacts the family. And so, you know what? As I was reading through chapter 1 and 2, I was a little bit troubled. I was like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work or not. And then I backed up and I realized, hold up. This is a father talking to his son. How do you get more family economy than that? You read, would you read chapter 1 or 2?
I read chapter 1. I did not read. I have read through like the first 12 chapters, about 1,500, somewhere around that range.
4,000, 1,500 what?
No, 4,000 times.
You've read through it 4,000 times?
No, like the first 5 chapters. Yeah.
Okay, well 4,000's a lot.
It is.
So like if you're 11 years old, 11 times 365 days. So you've read it once every day for your whole entire life.
Okay.
So as I was
mentioning, just
yes, go ahead.
that I actually finally ordered the Edith glasses from Avengers: Infinity War.
No one can see those. Unfortunately, we don't have a camera set up because we don't have an official studio.
I will post a picture of them.
Okay, you can
I'll maybe post a picture of them on YouTube. And then I also got a dummy grenade that I can shoot like BBs out of, shoot rocks, pebbles out of, and then I can just use it to fool all my friends. Be like, oh, grenade, here you go.
So as you can tell, in the family economy, we like to focus on disguises and weapons. Huh? You said Edith glasses and grenades. I'm like, hey, hold up. Before we get rolling here, there's one verse that came to mind
And it is
Hang on.
Ecclesiastes.
No, we're going to look at that in just a second.
No?
But that is the preface for the book of Proverbs. I didn't realize that. Commentary I had helped me out with that. But there's one other thing that came to mind the other day, which helps us lead into the book of Proverbs. And that
Shall
comes,
I read it, sir?
if you want to read Matthew 10:16.
Okay. Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves. Therefore be wise as serpents and harmless as doves.
So in that context that Jesus speaking to his disciples, this is their short-term, what I call their short-term ministry trip. It's actually the first Great Commission. He's sending them out in groups of 2 by 2. He's got a couple different times that he does these things before he leaves, before he ascends into heaven. So in this particular one, he's saying, hey, I'm going to send you out in the midst of wolves, therefore be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. And so that wisdom and that was you, bro. The wisdom and the innocence is what's being talked about here. So with that in mind, with Jesus's words of commission being to his disciples about them having wisdom, we turn to the book of wisdom, Proverbs. And one of the commentaries, it slips in my mind because it's not one that I go to regularly, but he said that since Ecclesiastes was also written by Solomon, it kind of provides this preface for the book of Proverbs, and it's Ecclesiastes 12:9-14. Let me read this. We're not necessarily going to read every single word of Proverbs as we go through. We'll hit big pictures and topics here, but let me read Ecclesiastes 12:9-14, and it'll serve as a preface to the book of Proverbs. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yes, he pondered and sought out and set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find acceptable words, and what was written was upright, words of truth. The words of the wise are like goads, and the words of scholars are like well-driven nails, given by one shepherd. And further, my son, be admonished by these. Of making many books there is no end, and much study there is wearisome to the flesh. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is man's all. For God will bring every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil.
Notes. Just
so the goad there. Oh, what was the first note?
The goad would have been a stick used to drive or herd animals, and then the goad would drive you and push you forward, and then the well-driven nails would secure you where you needed to be.
Right. So the idea is that the one hand, it pushes and drives you forward, and the other hand, it sticks you or secures you to where you need to be. And that's kind of the point of this wisdom.
So you can kind of think of like if you were in your well-driven nails would kind of be like the tunnel that you're walking through, so that like you keep from straying to the sides.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
good way.
like the one in the goat is the engine, kind of.
Yeah, so I don't know if you thought about this before, but I'm going to provide just a super brief background to Proverbs. Yeah, excuse me there. One of the commentaries that I picked up, it's kind of a technical one by Christopher Ansberry. He says Proverbs transcend specific historical circumstances and address issues common to all people at all times. In other words, it's universally applicable. It doesn't matter where you live and what age you lived in, Proverbs is going to apply.
So Christopher Ansberry said that. Next time I ask for a berry at the grocery store, I will be asking for an Ansberry, and if that is declined, I will politely disagree with their selections and maybe go to, another country to see if they have it there.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you for that.
I would suggest that you guys do the same.
An Ansberry.
Yes.
All right. So the book of Proverbs, it contains, obviously, most people are familiar with it containing poetry. It shapes the character, sharpens the intellect, hones the desires, forms the feelings. It constructs a worldview, by the way, of its readers in accordance with wisdom and virtue. That comes from your berry again.
Yep.
The Ansberry.
Yes.
It's very terse. It's parallel. We'll talk about these things as we go. You know what parallel means?
Yeah.
In poetry? Like you have parallel lines.
I know no, like a geometry, but just like boom, boom.
So there's 3 sets. I think there's actually a 4th set here, but there's at least 3 sets of parallelism. There's one's a semilinear. So you got a relationship between parts. Then you've got interlinear. That's 2 or more poetic lines. So in other words, as we're going through, let me go back here to Proverbs. See if we can find one example. Sorry about the clicking. Okay. So if you look at some of these parallel lines, for example, Proverbs 1:8, my son, hear the instruction of your father and do not forsake the law of your mother. You can hear that those are parallel, right? Those are, he's instructing his son to honor his father and his mother by listening to the instruction or wisdom that they're going to pass on, right? You see what I'm saying? So there's better than sayings. This is better than that. There's numerical sayings where the Lord says like 5 things for this and then 6 things for that. There's a relationship. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So overall, this is going to be the most important thing here. Overall, this is our structure. You see on the screen?
Yes.
Chapters 1 through 9, that's what's often called a prologue. Okay, this is sort of like the intro.
This is like totally Latin or some other language because log would mean like writings, and then pro would be like before, so like before the writings.
It's general instruction. It contrasts wisdom and folly. So
like, it's just like you have to be good with prefixes. So like pro, depending on what language you're pulling from, pro could mean for, like as in for, like I'm for Copilot 365 or whatever.
Yep.
And then pro can mean before, or pro can mean professional in English.
So in chapters 1 through 9, these are speeches delivered by the father, sometimes the mother, to a son or sons. And there's a number of voices that are represented in these speeches. And you've got father, grandfather, sinners, lady wisdom, the strange woman, and woman folly, or lady folly. Okay, do you get what I'm saying? Like the father, just like me, I'm going to be talking to you. Here, Solomon would be expressing this wisdom to his son, but he does so by using a number of voices. And these are the voices that he does. Do you have a question? Do you have a thought?
No, I do not.
Chapters 10 through 29, this is the central collection. And Asbury points out, is this chaos or is it coherence? In other words, Ansbury, my bad, bro. Hey, when you said you only read the first 5 chapters, though.
I don't know if it was first 5. I may have read more than that.
I'll speak from my perspective. Sometimes when you go through the book of Proverbs and you're reading along, they seem disconnected. You know, like it doesn't seem like it's cohesive. And it would make you wonder, why did Solomon, and we'll talk about some of the other authors later on, but if they were writing these one after another, why did he put this one next to that one? Or if he collected, if he was like, you know what, I'm collecting the, like Ecclesiastes said, he went out and maybe collected proverbs that were going around.
Like
and of course, this is, we got to point out, of course, this goes without saying for us, but for the audience, this is divinely inspired. Yes. It's not just simply Solomon sitting down one day on a weekend and is like, hey, I'm bored. I know I've got like 300 and some wives and 400 and some concubines, but I'm kind of bored right now. So I think I'll write down some proverbs. No, this is divine instruction. This is from God.
He was probably like, well, I could play on my Wii, or I could write proverbs. It is unknown whether the equivalent of a Wii was casting lots back then, because video games are essentially the equivalent of gambling, so... Just kidding.
You know what? I'd never actually thought about that. So casting lots would have been the equivalent of gambling. They just set it over in a corner rather than...
gambling would be the equivalent of arcade games, and arcade games were the public equivalent of video games. So technically, casting lots was playing video games.
So rather than shooting craps or playing dominoes, he was casting lots.
Shooting craps would be like if you put like collected chickens and then filtered their dung and then put it in a cannon.
Oh my!
That would be crap shooting.
Oh my goodness!
You said crap shooting. What did you want me to say?
Okay, so chapters 10 through 29. I can hear that rustling. I know we one of us lost the splitter for the headphones, the brand new headphone set that we have.
Who could that have been?
So you can't hear the rustling.
It was the cat that we don't own. Also, can we get that one cat?
I don't know about cat. We're not going to talk about cats, but I can actually hear that rustling with your hands on there. So, yeah, right there. This is not ASMR video, so please don't do that.
What is an ASMR video?
It has to do with sensory sounds that the ears and brain can pick up on. Chapters 10 through 29, they enhance the pedagogy or the teaching of chapters 1 through 9. That's from Ansbury. And then chapter 30, this expresses the limits of human wisdom. Chapter 31 is the embodiment of wisdom and virtue, and I think that's applied to the wife.
So ASMR actually stands for "As Such My Reverends."
No. It's just where they make different sounds, and the ears hear it, and the brain can like pick up these different sounds. It's kind of weird. It's weird.
Oh, I love those. It's like the ones where like, do you hear this word or this word? Like those?
I don't know. Chapter
know.
1. All right, let's get going. Let's get going.
All right.
We are,
Bet,
let's see, we're
bet,
about
bet.
15 minutes in. We're probably only going to get maybe through chapter 1, but we don't necessarily have to read it unless you just want to. But what we'll do is we'll kind of hit on the highlights here.
So grab your Bibles and just kind of follow along here.
Yeah, that's fine.
I got the Bible written on my hands.
We're using the New King James version of the Bible. So chapter 1, it states right out of the gate, Proverbs of Solomon, of son of David, king of Israel. And I wanted to point out to you though. You read through this. Look at verses 2 through 4. Do you see that? Can you read 2 through 4 there real quick?
To know wisdom and you know what? I'm just saying right there, that's Shakespearean text. I'm just throwing that out there. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion.
Okay. So if I were going to write you something and I said, these are the Proverbs that I'm writing, and then I led in with to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give prudence to the simple. What would you think that was?
I would think that was like an intro, or like, I know I've read the caption, but it's a purpose.
Yeah, it's the purpose. So here's Solomon saying, here's why I'm writing these Proverbs.
It's for everybody to know wisdom, for everybody to realize what understanding is.
Yes.
To everybody actually take the wisdom and apply it, and the justice and the judgment and the equity. What would equity mean in this context?
Equity would be fairness.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, like, if you think in terms of...
that would be equality would be a better word there, because equity these days would be like, I've got a 10% shareholder of Apple.
Okay. I think what we'll find out is that these would also, these Proverbs would help us within a family to have justice and right justice, right judgment, equity. So not favoring one person over another, not giving one person one thing and withholding from another something else within a family context. But these also apply to business principles, as we'll see, professional principles, how to function within a work environment.
Well, that makes sense. That's also really useful and more applicable. So to give prudence to the simple, what would prudence mean? Would that just mean like elevation, or?
Well, rather than me guess and try to provide what I'm pretty sure it's talking about, let's look it up. That way we'll get a more accurate understanding of this. So
the quality of cautiousness.
Being cautious.
So instead of the simple, just be able to like, let's lick this flame and see what happens, maybe.
So by simple, what they mean is someone who's not really thinking. Someone who, what would be the equivalent of that today?
Me.
We say no. Well, we used to use the word simpleton.
My mic 4 times the same way.
I don't know how exactly that happened.
You know they actually banned the worm sip on Twitch.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did. They banned a lot of dumb words. Like actual meanings of words that people take offensive.
Well, here prudence would be like just being cautious. So rather than someone, we would use the saying, run headlong into the wind without caution. They just run and they're reckless. The simpleton is reckless. He's not considering the outcome of his ways or the consequences.
So for feminism, the obstinate, headstrong girl, air quotes in case you couldn't see, which you can't,
okay.
That would have been a simple.
Okay.
They were just like, yeah, I got it. No, you don't. You're simple.
So verses 5 through 6 in chapter 1, they provide the audience. If you were to read this and you go, well, I don't know if these necessarily apply to me because I know a lot of stuff. Or you were like, I'm just a young guy. I don't really know that I need to know these. Proverbs says right out of the gate, this is to the young man. It's going to give the young man knowledge and discretion. Do you know what discretion means?
Well, I know what, I think I do. A discretion would be just like apple, orange. They are not the same.
Discretion.
Ooh, So there's actually 2 meanings. The second one would be kind of like what I said. The second one is the freedom to decide what should be done in a particular situation. But I think that can actually also be, I think that the second definition could also be what to choose in a particular situation. Because done can also parallel with choose.
Yep.
And
so
then
it means
first
that with,
one,
go ahead.
You can go ahead.
It just means with care, to be cautious and with care. So for the young man, that would be you. It provides knowledge and discretion. It helps you be cautious and care. Where at?
Or is that? Oh, that's just
no.
thing.
Yeah, it's just sound.
That's so weird. It looks like Greek or something. Like, why would you do that?
I don't actually know why they do that for the sounding out of
the
words.
way they do it in like the Charlie Brown Encyclopedia is so much better. Or like every other Osborne book.
So the second person of this audience is a wise man, someone who would be older and more mature in years, but they're going to hear and they're going to increase in learning. So you can see how there's a parallel relationship here as well. Like you've got the young man, and this is how it applies to them: to be cautious in life, to be wise, to gain knowledge. But for the older man who's already maybe has a little bit of wisdom, they're going to gain learning. They're going to increase. Then you've got a man of understanding. They're going to attain wise counsel. So rather than a guy who may understand a lot of stuff, he may be wise. By going to the book of Proverbs, it essentially provides a counsel for him. In the midst of counselors, there's much wisdom. Make sense?
Yes, I would interpret this as not being literal. Like, look, dude, we're going to put if you're 15 and under, this is for you. If you're 75 or older, this is also for you. If you're between the ages of 35 and 48, then this is for you. Otherwise, we don't want you. No, I think this is just a blanket statement
you're
to
exactly
show
right.
that whatever your gender is, whatever your background is,
Mhm.
if you know a bunch of stuff, if you're a physics major, if you're a chemistry major, because that's divides the entire world.
Scoot in a little bit so they can hear you better, because sounds like you're in the back of the room.
Whether you prefer to drink tap water or bottled water, this is for you.
Okay. No, you're right. And John does this as well in 1 John chapter 2. He kind of gives 3 different audience members for his words. And you're right. It's just a sampling. It gives you it basically tells you this is for everyone. Everyone can go to the book of Proverbs and learn. So verse 7, that's our thesis. That's what I'm calling foundational logic. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
That is, I would say that's the most influential verse in chapter 1.
It is.
It's a blanket. It's a summary.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
He repeats this quite a bit throughout the entire book too. So that's going to be key. Okay, so
if you take like look at the words, and it's the fear of the Lord. So like we dissect that just means like faith in the Lord, but
respect
I guess that
as
would
well.
Mean,
not like
would
cowering
just,
in a corner.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not like the Finance and Freddy's animatronics are gonna come get me or
right. It's
like
not. It's not like a cowering in a corner somewhere, afraid that you're going to get hit again. But it's a reverential respect. It's a fear of the Lord is a reverential respect, and it begins with faith, but it also includes love and respect and honor. So that is the beginning of knowledge. So fools, when the Bible talks about fools, it's talking about those without faith. They despise wisdom and instruction.
When they say beginning of knowledge, they're meaning like foundation, obviously. Like, sorry, I'm just trying to get comfortable here.
I know.
They're not talking about like, I don't know where I was going with that.
I'm sorry.
I've
when they say fools,
it's the concrete. Okay, it's just the concrete.
Okay, it is. It's foundational. Fools despise wisdom and instruction. So fools are someone who don't believe in God, don't care what God has to say. They're going to despise wisdom and instruction. They're not teachable. That's going to be a very important.
I think he threw that in to be like throughout this book. Does he not like throw characters in there to show you like what happens if you mess up?
Mm-hmm.
So like that would be like the initial one. Like, look, everybody in this entire book, they're fools and they despise wisdom and instruction.
And this is a form of parallelism as well.
Heed my warning.
You have a positive statement and a negative statement. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. However, contrasting that, fools, that would be those who do not have the fear of the Lord. They despise wisdom and instruction. Okay?
Yes.
Verses 8 in chapter 1, we're still at. Verses 8 down through, let's see. Oh, just verse 8. Verse 8. It's got what I'm calling the instructors. So who is going to be providing instruction here? It's going to be the mother and the father. Hear the instruction of your father. Do not forsake the law of your mother.
Yes.
I think that's important because we've talked about this before, but sometimes for you, and I'm not picking on you, but sometimes for you, it's easier for you to listen to your father and respect your father, what he has to say, than sometimes your mother. Sometimes your tone can turn to your mom. And I think this is a universal thing as well. Sometimes, and I'm going to go the opposite way here in just a second. Sometimes it's easier for a son to listen to and respect, I don't want to say be fearful, but fear of the Lord comes into mind, for a son to a father than for a mother. Okay. Other times there are sons who don't respect their fathers, but they're more of a mama's boy. They're more of a whatever mom says, whatever mom needs.
Like redacted named cousin.
I don't know. well, I'm not there for those situations, so I don't know. And this isn't necessarily good or bad. I'm just pointing it out that happens on occasion.
It's like saying, look, there are Dell computers and there are Lenovo computers. No opinions provided.
This, by the way, side note on this, and this goes to the family economy as well. But when you see this that says, "My son, hear the instruction of your father and do not forsake the law of your mother," a home needs a father and a mother. I don't mean to be disrespectful to anyone out there. If you grew up in a single parent home, if you grew up with no parents, if you grew up with grandparents, if you grew up with in a broken home, you were a subject of divorce, a child of divorce, or if now you are a single parent, a single mom, a single dad. I'm not being critical of that. I understand things happen, death happens, divorce happens, disagreements happen. Those 3 Ds, by the way. But here's what 3 Ds.
Interesting.
Statistics show, without question, that children that grow up in a 2-parent household are, how can we say, more productive, less likely to get in trouble legally, or less likely to get in trouble with the law or commit crimes. They have a tendency to do better in education. And I was reading a book by Alan C. Carlson, I think it's called The Natural Family. He goes through these statistics from in the 1990s into the early 2000s, I think. But he goes through these statistics about a 2-parent home and how beneficial that is. But society doesn't want a 2-parent home. Society wants to break that down.
They want a one-man band.
So if we were going to think of Proverbs right out of the gate and how it applies to the family economy, it's that God instituted the family to be one man and one woman. And the man shall leave his mother and father and hold fast to his wife. From the very beginning, it was male and female. And if the world is trying to set up these relationships where you've got 2 females or 2 males, I'm sorry, it's a broken system. You have to have both. They're complementary to one another. So you need to hear the instruction of your father, and you need to not forsake the law of your mother. And then it gives like the external. So that's internal. Those things are going internal, but then they're going to have a reflection on the external. I'm sorry. The graceful ornament on your head, the chains about your neck, they're going to display or reflect outwardly. Do you understand that part? Do you get that? Mm-hmm. You got any thoughts on the instructors there? How I kind of broke that down?
Not quite.
All right, here's where things let's see here. We may get through chapter 1. And as I don't think that we're going to go, since there's 31 chapters of Proverbs, I don't think that necessarily means we're going to have 31 episodes on Proverbs. We could, but sometimes I think we're probably going to lump them together or just do overviews. Here we're trying to lay the foundation right out of the gate where we had to talk about the audience and the instructors.
We're not going to go like straight through and be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, etc., etc. 29, 30, 31 straight. Are we going to go straight through, or are we going to have like other ones in between?
For the Proverbs? Are we going to jump around?
No, I mean, like, are we going to go, like, for this second season, is it just going to be Proverbs videos? Or?
No. We'll go, this is going to be foundational for us. I think it'll give us discussion points. And then if we read something and it causes us to, like, do a commentary on it, like I just did with the family, hey, let's do that then. If you've got stories to tell based on something, fine, we'll do that. And
sorry,
No, go ahead.
But I think we need a video, like, maybe one that's just, like, worldview, and it gives us like, maybe like just a Proverbs. I don't know. I was gonna go like someplace with that where we would have a video to provide like a way to look at the world, like your Edith glasses with the blue tint that makes everything look in vivid mode when you take them off.
Well, remember that I'm trying to. I've got a really rough outline, but I want to put together a course on worldview and logic and apologetics.
Sir.
So that might be what you're talking about a little bit. Maybe
I don't know. I was just shooting from the hip there. I don't know.
Okay. Well, when we get down to verse 10, we've got our first set of warnings, and we talked about this in the truck earlier, as about this warning that's repeated throughout the book of Proverbs has to do with who you associate with. Yes. And I didn't think about this before. I mean, I've thought about this before, like real world, like, hey, watch who your friends are. Who you go to the mall. I know nobody. Well, no, our mall was packed this weekend. But who you go to the mall with, who you hang out with, who your friends are, who you day-to-day rubbing shoulders with. But I really wasn't thinking of this in terms of online communities, because the social media...
That is my domain, sir.
Look, let's read this warning here. So warning number 1, verses 10 and following, is to avoid negative influences and resist peer pressure for public delinquency, deviance, destruction, and debauchery.
So
Those
what
are
would you like me to
I
read?
couldn't
What
think
would you like me to
any
read?
more D words than that.
The D word.
If you want to read, I don't know if you want to read.
I can read 10 through 14 if
Let's
that's what you're.
hang on just a second. These new headphones that we have, they are so sensitive. I can hear every rustle that
I
you
breathe.
do.
You hear it?
Let me see. Yes. Are you a
Well,
mouth breather?
Let me do a regular breathe.
Yeah, you're gonna need to blow your nose after this for sure. I can hear that. Oh, yep. Bro, you need Tic Tac.
That's my line, dude. Don't be Jeff Dunham.
If you want to read the first warning, that's fine. You can
10
see
through
how
14 is or 11 through 14.
let's just do 11 through 14.
Okay. Well, no, 10 kind of gives you
Oh yeah.
Because if you
My
just say
bad,
it,
my
they say
bad,
like,
my
who the
bad,
heck is
my
that?
bad. 10 through 14.
My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait to shed blood. Let us lurk secretly for the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol, and whole like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Cast in your lot among us. Let us all have one purse. Wait. Just saying. Read Glory of Christ the other day. John Owen.
Are we pausing? We're not pausing for that now, though, are we?
We're not. And I also read Dante's Inferno. That's what I thought of that when I read Sheol. It actually gives you some context on hell, like because there's a lot.
I did want to talk about Glory of Christ, but let's see if we can get through this first. If we have time at the end, we'll jump in for Glory of Christ. If not, we'll do a little 5-minute video podcast on it.
Yeah, just like right there on the city, and then we can post that.
Yeah, let's do that. Look for that. By the way, this is a little preview. We should be having a review on the Puritan paperback Glory of Christ by John Owen.
You're gonna help me with my project.
In this, what you just read, what stands out to you? What is he saying here?
Let us swallow them alive like Sheol stood out. Just probably because it just says Sheol in it.
Overall, what do you think this warning is saying? Like, what does it describe?
Saying, don't go down to 7-Eleven and shoot people with your friends.
Yeah, that's always a good, helpful starting point. Like, look,
you can go down to 7-Eleven
don't hop
and
in
play
the car.
one-shooter game with from Back to the Future 2.
So we can take this literally and we should, in the sense of here the warning is from the Father to the Son. Don't go with guys who are saying, hey, let's go rob this person. Let's go beat them to a pulp. Let's rob them. Let's take their goods. They're greedy for unjust gain. That's the conclusion of this, right?
Let's give them a purple nurple.
Okay. Thank you for that. And what actually happens is this trap or this premeditated plan that they have for this person or these people ends up being a trap for themselves. They are themselves going to get caught in this trap. But what I'm saying is,
when you say premeditated,
I'm sorry.
Like, we need a better word for that because premeditated makes me feel
planned beforehand.
Planned, or maybe what did you just do?
Planned beforehand. What do you mean? Premeditated, I know you don't like it. It's a premeditated crime or a sin.
Planned,
so, in other
organized,
words, listen.
Anything else?
Hang on. In other words, what he's saying is not just in this particular instance, but he's saying stay away from, avoid, guard yourself against influences who are going to lead you down a path and peer pressure you into doing these things. And I told you the story about the young man that was in youth group years ago. Got into a car with a group of guys, and the guys had guns in the trunk, I believe it was. They went to a local flea market, and they ended up pulling out these guns. And here this dude that's been in youth group for years grabs a hold of a gun too, and they rob this flea market. And the next thing you know, they're on the run. Huh? Yeah.
Did they ever get caught?
Yes, they served time in jail. And then
How long?
I don't know the exact details of that. But then another boy who was walking down past a plate glass window at an old bike shop, and he was with some friends, and they peer pressured him into throwing a brick through this 20-foot tall plate glass window. It was massive, and busting out the window. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, sometimes when boys get together with one another, they get bored. Okay. And let me give you an example from my experience. All right. One time I was hanging out with a friend of mine at his house, and he lived on kind of a gravel road, sort of like ours. Okay. And there were just a few houses up above them. And I actually know who the people were now, but I didn't know then. And as they were traveling down one day, there was another boy with us. So there's 3 of us total. We run and hide in the woods, and we thought it was pretty funny to run and hide into the woods when these cars came so that they couldn't see us, right? Yeah. Well, one of the boys takes a hand of gravel, not like the bigger gravel, but like the smaller kind, and throws it at the cars. Like literally, he was this Proverbs chapter 1. He's lying wait. He's setting a trap. As the car goes by, he's unleashing gravel. Now, if I was an adult and my car is getting hit by gravel, I'm going to do more than what these people did. They stopped the car and they're like looking around like, what's going on? I would have been searching the woods to try to find these boys that were throwing rocks. You know what I mean? Like, that's the same type of thing. So
What if
you
you had your 9mm in your car?
thank you for including that in the podcast. You, as a young man, no matter how old that you are, you need
I'm
to.
16.
You're not, but you need to
You
recognize.
don't know that because you
Bro,
can't
let
see
me
my
put
face.
let me put a ribbon on this.
You don't know that. You can't see my face.
Are you
I
finished?
might be Russian.
Okay, even if you were 45, it doesn't matter.
I might be Mexican. Irish, in fact.
Can I finish this?
British, maybe.
If you were British and you were 75 or 1,000,005, I don't really care.
Really, actually, 1,000,005 is closer to my 16.5 billion years of experience here on this earth.
For those of you driving or listening at home, the time was about 35 minutes in where we lost him. He gone. What I'm trying to say is you've got to heed this warning. To be careful who you associate with, that they don't lead you down these paths.
Yes,
If
sir.
they start to head down this path and like, hey, let's go do this because we're bored, we're going to go do something to have fun, you bail out. You leave. This is what it's saying.
Feel free to go ahead and read, guys. You at home, cooking, walking, dog petting. Go ahead and read 15 through 19 if you want to, or I
15
can.
is the only verse I'm going to read there. It says, don't walk with them in the way. Keep your foot from their path, for their feet run to evil. Bail out. Get out of there,
All right,
okay?
so you guys go ahead and read 16 through 19 if you want the full thing. You have to pay $16,000 if you want the DLC package that
I
includes
don't know.
the full reading.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. What are you talking
What's a
about?
DLC?
It's in video games. It's like the expanded pack. Like, for example, if I were to go...
Please lean into the mic
If
so
I
everyone can hear
were to
this
go
wisdom.
if I were to go into like basically Train Simulator, you like buy the DLC and it unlocks like all kinds of stuff for you. And actually, Train Simulator, the DLC is like $6,000, and it's never been achieved because like who's spending $6,000 just to get a DLC?
I award you no points. May
What?
God have mercy on your soul. That's all I have to say about that. People,
I will mock
listen,
when your terror comes. That's my proverb.
if anyone got what you just said about DLC, yay for them. If anyone just got the movie reference that I dropped, yay for them. See how that works? You're going to drop nonsense? I'm dropping nonsense.
What was that? What was
I didn't know what you were
was the
talking about.
movie?
You didn't know what I was talking
What
about.
was the movie?
It's okay.
How do you not know what I'm talking about? Train Simulator is a classic.
Okay, let's jump ahead. We're
Have
almost
you
done.
never read All Time Gaming Records 2016?
No.
I've read it, actually, cover to cover, about 4 times.
Why?
Because I'm so bored all the time.
Hello, read Proverbs. Boom.
And then that's if you wonder, I will mock when your terror comes. If you wonder why that's stuck in my head instead of Train Simulator.
Listen, years ago, and
You know that verse when
Can
it
you
says
stop?
he stabbed him in the stomach with a double-edged
Yes.
sword, and all his boo flew out.
Quit.
That's what happened. It's a bad influence, bro.
Okay. The contrast here, let's bring us back on and land this plane. But the contrast here are those influences or companions who are running wild in them streets.
Yes.
Okay.
Them streets.
Lady Wisdom now steps into those streets,
Yes.
them streets, and she's going to drop wisdom here.
Sir,
Okay.
I would like to go ahead and read this Call of Wisdom paragraph.
Go
It's
ahead.
pretty long, but you're going to have to scroll down a little bit.
Well, you can read whatever there you feel like reading. You don't have to read the whole thing.
She cries out in the chief concourses at the openings of the gates in the city. She speaks her words. How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? And fools hate knowledge. Turn at my rebukes. Surely I will pour out my spirit on you. I'll make my words known to you. When your terror comes like a storm and your destruction comes like a whirlwind, when distress and anguish come upon you, they will call on me, but I will not answer. They will seek me diligently, but they will not find me, because they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. But whoever listens to me will dwell safely and will be secure without fear of evil. Close paragraph.
What verse did you end on there?
I ended on 33, which was the last one.
You read the whole thing?
No, I didn't read the whole thing. I just skipped around.
Okay, so if you were following at home, he started in verse 21,
actually.
but he
I
skipped a
around.
few coming down to 33.
Even skipped like just some like lines. Like I skipped
Okay.
for Scorner's delight and their scorning.
Okay, so basically, wisdom here, she's dropping judgment out. Actually,
Wisdom
she's
is like
in the city.
nuking people here.
Listen, she's in the town square. She's in the open square. She's in the city gates. We can hear that.
Would we
Thank you.
argue that wisdom is the first lady of the world?
this is just given a personification to wisdom, and it happens to be female here. Female.
I wonder
Later
what the
on,
personification of Microsoft would look like.
come on, pull it together. It would look like demon horns somewhere, I guess. I don't know.
What the heck?
I don't know, I'm
That's
just
the
thinking of Bill
personification
Gates.
of Led Zeppelin, buddy.
No. So stick with me here. Let's land this plane as we work through this because you've done a good job reading. We're trying to get a little bit of application here.
I also have to use the bathroom.
I don't have. Thank you for that. Probably should have gone ahead of time. Thank you for telling the world that. I won't edit that out. I'm going to leave that in there.
Okay.
Just so they know what I have to deal with on a regular
The
basis.
1.35 people.
I don't know, but shout out to the
We
people.
changed the decimal like every 5 episodes.
Stop interrupting so much so I can get ahead here.
What's an interruption?
Exactly. I'm afraid to talk because I'm waiting for you to interrupt now. Shout out to the
DLCs
people
are in fact
in Singapore
Singapore
who have
Clearly
been reading on thefamilypulpit.com, our blog. I don't
and
know.
even when Jack Sparrow says, clearly you've never been to Singapore, you can politely decline his statement, politely disagree, because you actually have been to Singapore.
Exactly.
And in fact are living
Finally,
there.
something worth saying came out of the boy's
The
mouth.
Grand Pacer test
No.
is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues.
This is your last chance. I'm going to edit you out for the whole rest of it's going to be 30 minutes with you, and then however long this thing takes without you. No.
I'm gonna go now, bro.
Okay, so if we're gonna think about the main overview of what you just read from Proverbs 1:20 down through 33,
Yes, sir.
the main thrust here is that it's sort of complementary and contrasting to the father's warning that he gave earlier. So if we look at that and say that the father is speaking to the children, and the mother too, speaking to the children in the domestic or within the family economy, within the household, in other words, right? Wisdom's out in the streets. She's out there speaking to people who probably shouldn't be out in the streets. And hers is
People
nothing
on
but
streets.
rebuke. Huh?
People on streets.
Hers is nothing but rebuke and judgment. You heard that, right? Like she's not out there speaking with the kindness and passion and
Hey,
love that
guys,
the father did.
Just believe in the Lord.
What?
That would be like the chill voice.
No, if you read this
She's
and you
actually
saw
like
how
the-
stern.
Along you simple ones, wheel of simplicity.
All
For
right.
scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn to my rebuke. Surely I will pour out my spirit on you, and I will make my words known to you.
What just happened? Okay.
Your
Episode.
palladium toxicity level
No,
is like
no.
99% right now.
Listen. Episode 2 of this season is going to be an exorcism. What just happened?
It took me a second to realize what that meant.
Okay, so there's our contrast. We've got the father's laying out of wisdom early on, and then Lady Wisdom comes along in the streets, and which reminds me, by the way, I don't want to press this too far, but I almost feel like let's think of this in terms of like an after midnight and after 2 a.m.
After midnight, yeah.
Listen, hang on just a second.
Sorry.
Rein it in for just a second.
Sorry.
If you think of like an after midnight and after 2 a.m. and even a nighttime setting in a city, okay, I know you haven't been out there in them streets that late. Nothing good happens.
No, not really.
They used to say that nothing really good happens out there after 10
People give
o'clock.
out free candy.
No, they don't. That's not candy. Just because it looks like Flintstone vitamins does not mean it's Flintstone vitamins, bro. Will you let me make this point? Wisdom is out in the streets when nothing good is taking place. And she's rebuking. And she's offering judgment. And she's saying, I'm calling at you, but you not listening.
Don't you lick that concrete roll.
Stop for just a second. She's essentially saying, I'm telling you to get home, to get out of this environment because nothing good's... I've been there, okay? Multiple cities in multiple states. One's in my own hometown. One's throughout my state. Big cities, after midnight, after 2, after 3 a.m. in the morning. Wisdom was calling out in the streets saying, y'all need to get out of the street and get back home. Get out of here because nothing good's going to happen. And because you're not going to listen to my rebuke, I'm going to laugh when calamity strikes. Okay? I'm going to laugh when that fight breaks out. I'm going to laugh when somebody does something stupid that they shouldn't be doing because they've been out drinking or partying or doing drugs, or then go and try to rob a place or get involved in situations that they shouldn't have gotten themselves into because you should have never been out in the streets in the first place. Wisdom's there. And she's calling. And she's rebuking.
What if you had to go get some kombucha because your belly was upset?
That would be a special case. We would allow it.
So you
Wisdom would
wouldn't
go.
allow it.
Wisdom would essentially go, I'll allow it. I will
No,
allow it.
Wisdom would go, listen, bro, I know you're getting that one type that you can get from Walmart, but GT's is always the best, and it always will be.
You know what, GT is pretty good. What's your favorite flavor?
I would say, I think Apple kind of took the first spot.
We haven't had that.
Legend.
Apple is very good.
I was not able to have that for
Trilogy
myself,
was my
much.
gateway.
First, yeah, actually, what was mine?
Guava Goddess may have been my gateway.
What was the
Possibly
G?
mango.
What was the G? Gingerberry.
Gingerberry. In the blue label?
So, yes. So Gingerberry was basically Trilogy, but Trilogy has a bit of a hint to it that's a bit different. So Gingerberry was the only one I would accept, and I would always gag at Bella's peach ones that she would get. So, and then after I went Gingerberry, I realized the Trilogy tastes similar, and then we got the apple type recently, and it was phenomenal. It tastes just like an apple, reincarnated as a liquid.
GT Kombucha is not actually a sponsor of the show.
No, but GT, seriously, I know your name's like Dave or something, and you were helping your mom with the thing. Yeah, so Dave, sponsor us, please. We love your stuff, and it's fantastic.
Let's land this plane. I'm going to land this plane by going to chapter 2, verse 1.
I cannot drink pickle juice, so
I'm simply going to summarize it with this statement. Chapter 2, verse 1 and following. Be teachable, listen, learn, and apply.
Thank you for listening to the...
I'm serious. Like, I know we joked around a lot. We had some rabbit trails, but the overall thrust of this is, as we're going through Proverbs, we want to pop off and have some application or have some laughs or really a lot of rabbit trails that we're going to have to edit out. That was for them, not you. That was for them, not you. Shush, you don't even have headphones on. All right. As we may not run through, no, I'm just joking. We may not run through every single verse by verse, but I want to, let's use Proverbs as a foundation for our discussions. And if we want to have little times where we do a unscripted or we do some other show, that's what we'll do.
We need to have a gaming episode where I just rant.
Absolutely not.
No, okay, tech episode where I just rant about tech.
No.
Yes, happening.
That will be very similar to the
without
exorcism that we were about to have just a second ago. No?
No.
You're not recording with or without me.
It would be more like a transubstantiation coronation.
Host, co-host.
Bro, I love that transubstantiation coronation. Transubstantiation
What was that
coronation. I just made it up.
We won't be talking about transubstantiation within Proverbs, I don't think.
No.
Special episode, transubstantiation.
Transubstantiation coronation.
All right, we're going to land this plane. Thanks for listening to the Family Pulpit Podcast.
Oh, I didn't realize
this
we were
is
there already.
episode 1 of season 2.
Yes, sir.
Land the plane then.
Thank you for listening to the Family
Nope, they have to be able to understand what you're saying.
Thank you for listening.
No.
Thank you for listening to the
No British.
Thank you for listening to the
Thank you for listening to the Family Pulpit Podcast. Make sure to go check. It's like I'm squeezing a squirrel.
I'm begging you to be normal.
It sounds like I'm squeezing a squirrel.
I'm begging you.
Thank you for choosing the Family.
No. I'm keeping all of this in there.
You know what?
The people
You know
have to
what?
know you
This
need
is all
help.
I'm gonna say.
You need help.
This is all I'm gonna say. Just prepare to end it. Thank you for shopping at Walmart.
Man.
That's actually Kroger's.
If you listen this far, I'm so sorry. We'll catch you on the next one.
God have mercy on your soul.